A former world champion steps out of the shadows to show everyone that he's still the best in the world. Some of the biggest marks in NCAA history go down at this year's conference championships. And we have two new members of the 90-meter club in the men's javelin. You take the throws, and we got the news on this week's Throw Show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Throws Show. Whoa. It's the Throws Show. I'm, of course, your host, Jason, joined, as always, by the People's Champ. He is the head throws coach of youth development at Throws University and Garage Strength, Olympic trials competitor. He is the coach of champions. We have Mr./Coach Sam Weeks.
What'd it do?
Sam, there is so much throwing going on right now. We are in the thick of the season. We are getting into finishing the high school outdoor season, but as the high school outdoor season ends, the professional season begins. We have also entered the postseason for college, and oh my gosh, so many big throws happened the past 2 weeks. There's so many throws to cover because we had conference weekend, we had D3, D2 national championships. The amount of elite throwing in the United States and globally right now is off the charts. What has been your observation in the world of throwing the last 2 weeks?
Everybody's going crazy. Everyone's showing up when it matters the most, and they're just throwing extremely far.
People are throwing far. People are throwing so far, in fact, we have a new contender entering the men's discus. And he's an old contender. But after Ramona, we thought, okay, the big 70-meter discus throws might be over for the season. We got our world record. We got our near world record from Matthew Denny. But world champion Kristjan had something to say about that. This man comes out at the Zagreb Continental Tour meet and throws 72.34, a new personal best. Over 72 meters. This is a monster. If this was any other year in throwing, we would be talking about this throw like the entire year, because before Ramona, you never saw 72-meter throws.
No.
And this man, Kristjan, I'll be honest, as a fan, as an observer of the sport, I've kind of counted him out the last year or so. Yeah. With the things that Alekna have done, that Denny's done the last year, even with what Rojestona did last year at the Olympics, I thought, and I'll be honest, I wasn't a particular fan of Che's technique the last year. And I thought, he's young, he might bounce back. But man, did he ever bounce back in 2025. Not only did he throw 72.34 at this meet, this man said, I'm not finished. Comes out the next day to throw another 72-meter throw. Sam, as an elite discus thrower, what do you think of these throws, and what do you think of this opener for not even an opener? Actually, this is something worth knowing. He lost at the European Winter Cup to one of the Germans. And for him to come back and do this, what is this? What do you see as a discus thrower and as a coach for marks like this?
Yeah, Che went absolutely stupid, bro. 72 back-to-back days is absolutely crazy. I know from my experience, competing back-to-back is kind of tough. And, the energy levels on that second day is a little bit lower. But, this is a testament of, all the training that he's been putting in to this point. For him to do that 72 back-to-back, like you said, when or after Ramona, thinking about a 70-meter toss isn't something that really comes to mind outside of Ramona.
Right.
And Che just proved to the world, yo, I'm here. You guys might see other athletes in that limelight, but like don't forget, like I've been a top 3, top 5 discus thrower for the past several years, you know what I mean? So I definitely think it was like, yo, like he made his statement. And like Che was rumored to come to Ramona, and he backed out to do some extra training, and evidently like
now we're seeing the result.
Now we're seeing the result. So shout out to Kristjan J.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'll just also add to this that I thought was the craziest part, this might, like the 72-34, might be the farthest throw ever at like a major invitational. Because every time you see marks that are over like 72, you're talking about athletes that are like doing local competitions, or like at the OTC before Ramona, there was like meets in Hawaii. So to see him throw 72 at a major continental tour like Zagreb, that has me thinking like, one, what could he do at a world championship? But two, it's like, I was saying I was somewhat critical of his technique the prior year. His technique looks really good here. Yeah. Like really, really good. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what Che's got for the rest of the season. It's also a battle now because the top 2 guys in the world right now, Denny and Alekna, they've never thrown 72 outside of Ramona. And now this man has 2 throws outside of Ramona. And to kind of follow that up, we also have Peyton Otterdahl started his world tour in Zagreb as well, winning their big shot put competition. Usually this meets, I think, takes place at like the end of the season, but they have it at the opening of the season. Goes 21-71. Really, really good throw here. He then backed it up at going to the Diamond League in Rabat in Morocco, throwing 21-97. So 2 big, big wins for Peyton here. And I think he's setting himself up with the consistency he has at these high 21s, pushing 22, that come like nationals, like he's ready to duke it out with Joe and Krauser. And I think here's my prediction for nationals. We might see a shakeup in the 1-2 spot come nationals. And I think Peyton could be the guy to take one of those spots.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton has definitely been showing up. I forget if he won. I believe he tied with Roger in the World Shot Put Series, but they were smacking tosses during that competition.
Speaking of which, we have the World Shot Put Series.
I feel like, with his show out at this competition, like he's been showing us that he's in really good shape. Like him and Roger were duking it out, duking it out. So for him to go overseas and throw, to win and throw over 21, like high, like it shows us like, yo, I'm in really good shape. I can be a contender for a top spot in the U.S. Now, obviously, we have Ryan, we have Joe, and it's like, we have a lot of guys who are relatively close, and they're going to be fighting. Like, I think Peyton could challenge 1-2, but I also think a guy like Roger Steen or Tripp could, potential 2-4.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is, there's also been a chink seen in Joe's armor because he opened at Hala this year, and he did not have that great of a meet. To the point, and I don't have the post pulled up here, to the point that he made a post about it, and I thought he retired. Like, you read the first 2 lines, and he's talking about his career, the history, the years he's been doing this, how it gets harder. And I was thinking holy crap, is Joe retiring? And I was like, nah, man, he was playing it cool, but he threw short of 21 at Hala, and it's but the thing we have to remind ourselves about Joe, the year that Joe went 22-91 in Doha to win Worlds, his opener was 20-30. Yeah. Because I remember because an old thrower used to, that I knew, Andrew Liskowitz out of Michigan, actually beat him in that competition. And I thought, oh my gosh, Joe's career's over. Bro, that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, no. That dude's career is nowhere near over. I feel like that's just one of those things where it's the rust buster. It's going to happen, even, to the top guys. It's going to happen, and he'll bounce back. We all know, he's done it several years in the past. So,
and that's where experience really comes into play, knowing that you don't need to throw far at this time of the year. It's really important once you get into the actual season in nationals come Worlds. Absolutely. So we were speaking about Hala. Chase Jackson, who's had an insanely consistent year. Indoors, outdoors, so many meets over 20 meters. She's been dominating the Diamond League circuit. Goes to Hala, which they now moved as to a downtown street shot, which I think looks phenomenal. Goes 20:35. Like, Chase is making 20 meters look run of the mill. Yeah. Her technique looks clean. What are you seeing? I see she's fully adapted in the Krauser slide, but what are you seeing on her movement here?
Yeah, no, she gets wide, she gets down into the middle, and she just puts herself in a position where she can catch deep and just crank it on the finish. I agree. Chase has been very, very consistent, over 20. I feel like she's kind of doing what Ryan was doing with 22, just getting a bunch of tosses, in competition over that mark. And, I hope that it just continues. And, we've been talking about it on several throw show, like who is going to be the one to throw over 21. And, I definitely think that with this many reps over 20, pushing that 21 barrier just gets that much closer.
Yeah, and it's interesting because the defending Olympic champion, Yemi, threw at this meet as well, and she only threw like a little over 18 meters. But at the same time, it's like, it's so hard to gauge what this means for the postseason when we're 4 months out. Yeah. But yeah, dude, she looks really, really good. And I think what you said about the baseline is going to be super important because what was the thing that we saw at the Olympics last year? People were throwing, like, she threw 17 meters in qualifying, didn't make it past qualifying. So she's probably getting to the point where it's like, you need to throw 20 meters like first 1 or 2 rounds to secure that you are going to get those extra throws and not let what happened at Paris happen again. And maybe not so much of a surprise, but a really an interesting new winner at Hala was Rejinder Campbell, the Olympic bronze medalist, goes 21:40. Rejinder been having a really good campaign so far this outdoor season. I love watching this guy throw. I love his technique. He's the lefty world record holder in the shot put. Going down to Hala and winning, like his right leg to me looks a little deep when he gets it down at the front. But what are you seeing here on Rajinder's throw?
Dude's been balling out.
Yeah.
I feel like this is another guy who has been competing at the World Shot Put Series and has been putting on like a show there. So like, we had clear indication like, all right, he's in good shape. And then obviously going out to this competition and, making a statement like, yo, like, look at me, like I am in good shape, Right. I am one of these top guys. And, he's been there and he's showing it. Technique wise, like he looks really good. And like I said, we've seen that through the Shot Put Series. And it's just like continuing to do that, especially with travel, like more, I guess, controllable, uncontrollable. Like there's more to this. Yeah. And it's like, yo, I can, keep my feet level and I can just do my thing. And, he showed it here.
Man, it has me thinking it would be so cool if we could bring a downtown shot put back to the United States. We had one in Lawrence, Kansas for a few years back in the 2010s, but just the visual of like all the buildings downtown the street, all the people around, like, it's so
a
cool.
Dope atmosphere.
Yeah. How can you not throw far in an environment like that? But dude, big news in the javelin as we have 2 new 90-meter throwers. We saw 90 meters quite a bit in the javelin the last few years, but it's kind of dropped off. Like the depth, while the fields might still be the same, people haven't been throwing as far. But Neeraj Chopra, the Olympic champion, Julian Weber, who I know you're a big fan of in the javelin, finally break 90 meters in Doha. 90 meters 32 for Neeraj to break the Indian national record. And honestly, like, people have known that Chopra could go 90 meters for years. He just didn't get it into a meet. Yeah. So to get that in his opener of the year, that's got to be freaking awesome for him. And Indian fans are probably going wild. But then to see that Weber comes back, throws 91 to beat Chopra. I think that's the cool thing about the javelin is like between these two, Nadim, you have Anderson Paters. Dude, the men's javelin is always an interesting. I like watching it because the depth of competition is so deep that's like it's very hard to call who your medalists are going to be when you have like 6 or 7 guys in the pool that could be throwing 90 meters.
Yeah, no, like with the javelin, like you said, I feel like especially the past couple of years, like it's anyone's game. Like obviously sometimes you have someone who you know, is that one step further, but I feel like a lot of these dudes have been closing that gap, and it's truly just like whoever shows up on the day. Because, like, you know, I was a big fan of Julian Weber, you know, placing within the top 3, and I believe he finished just outside of that. But, like, I was fully convinced, like, yo, I watched this dude's training. He looks really good. Like, it's going to happen. It didn't happen last year, but, like, you know, it happened this year. Like, it was going to happen.
Right.
And, like, him and Chopper, like, bro, 90 meters is so far. And
So
it's, like,
freaking far.
one of those tosses where, like, you don't see it as often, but it's, like, these guys are, you know, taking what they learned from last year and just bettering that, and now they're doing it in an earlier point in the year.
Well, it's like a 70-meter discus throw. It's like an 80-meter hammer throw. It's like a 22-meter shot put throw. They're rare, but that's because the people that are doing it are the best of the best in the world. And continuing with the best in the world, we have the number 2 thrower all time in the men's discus, Matthew Denny. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the footage of him doing this, but he went 68.97 to win the Doha Diamond League, backing up the good shape that he showed in Ramona, that he's competing against the best. Stahl, I thought, had a pretty good meet as well. And what's interesting here is, like, Che went 66 at this meet. So to see Che within only a week and a half go from a meet where he goes 66 meters to 2 meets over 72, I think it's one of those things, like, you can never guess how a season's going to go. Yeah. That he saw a 5.5 meter jump on his from one meet to the next. But, dude, Denny's backing his stuff up. And I think what's really exciting is we know Denny is such a good competitor at a major championship. And after meeting at Ramona, I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel some sort of way that I want to see Denny get gold. Like, I love Alekna. I love seeing these other guys throw. But, like, getting to just talk with Matt just a little bit, knowing how dedicated he is to being a better thrower and to show the world that he can be the best in the world, I can't help but pull for him, you know?
Yeah, no, Denny is Mr. Consistent. Like, he's shown that, you know, for the past few years, like, slowly getting better and better and better to the point where it's like, when you think of, like, the top 5, you can't not name him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just feel like with that consistency, like, he's going to stay consistent. Like, we know he's going to stay consistent all year, and he's going to show up. Like, he's proven it, like I said, in the past few years. So I think Denny will definitely, you know, stay within the top 5, maybe even top 3, maybe even top 2 this year. But it really just comes down to, you know, who shows up. Obviously, we saw that with the Javelin and some of the few other events that we're going to talk about today. It's just whoever shows up.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll add is, our teammate Sam Mattis also threw in this meet. This was actually pretty deep comp, and he went over 65 in this meet, which is very good for Sam to have as a big Diamond League overseas meet. Because once you get to that level of the Diamond League, like, in order for you to keep getting invited to those Diamond Leagues, you need to perform, and getting a 65-meter throw in a meet like this has me hopeful that he's going to get invited to more Diamond Leagues, therefore he makes more money, and therefore, like, that can make him eligible for the Diamond League final. And the more meets you get at this high level with this really good competition, the better that sets you up for preparing for a world championship. And we're getting into the USATF Throws Festival, and oh my gosh, the event of the weekend by far was the women's hammer. And the fact that these are all American women going top 4, well, I think actually American women took the whole final, but American women in the top 4 all throwing over 76 meters. These are world-class marks, and it was topped by Brooke Anderson coming back from last year. She wasn't pleased with her performance at the Olympic trials, comes out, new world leader, over 79 meters, 79.29. Sam, you're much more well-versed in the hammer throw here. What do you see that Brooke's doing, and what do you think this means for her career moving in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, 79-meter toss, like, if you ask me, am I surprised that Brooke did that? My answer would be no. Like, Brooke has shown, you know, several years that she's very capable of throwing far. Now, obviously, the conversation is, you know, she hasn't really done this, you know, in the past, I guess, like 2 years or so, like, when it mattered the most. But I feel like as she continues to get good quality reps and good quality competitions, she'll put herself in a position where she can do it when it really matters the most. But I feel like just in general, like the women showed up.
Yeah.
Like hammer throw, I feel like, this year especially is going crazy. And it's going to be like the talk of the throwing events, all 4 disciplines. I feel like by the end of the season.
Well, I mean, just the American women hammer throw scene, like we're now creeping up to like the level of the men's shot put and like sprints in America in terms of depth. Yeah. Like we have women here that's like Annette, who was the Olympic silver medalist, got like 5th or 6th in this meet.
Yeah, I think she threw like 75.
That's still a great throw.
Yes, like that's absolutely.
That would have medaled at the Olympics last year.
That's insane.
Oh my gosh.
And that just proves like how much America's, gotten better at hammer.
So like let's keep watching because, second place, no mark to sneeze at, 78.51. This is the farthest throw for Deanna Price since 2021 when she broke the American record, being the second woman to ever throw 80 meters. Mm-hmm. Goes 78.51 here at Tucson. Deanna's finally back. And the important part about, Brooke and Deanna going 1-2, Deanna was the first American world champion in this event in 2019. Mm-hmm. And then Brooke carried that legacy on by winning worlds in 22. So we have 2 world champions going 1-2 at this competition in particular. And 78 meters. Like these are marks that easily could win a world title like on the day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, dude, like we just said, it's just a testament of how much American hammer thrower or hammer throwing has progressed. And it's like these women are just going to keep pushing each other. Like they want to be, top dog. Like they're all top dog in, their own respect, but it's just like who's going to be top dog,
I would love to see a world championship podium in the women's hammer where all 3 women go over 80.
That'd be insane. It's very doable.
It's very doable with the quality of talent. Between, Deanna, Brooke, Cameron Rogers, Annette, like I think all these women are capable. Even now, Rachel going 78. Rachel, yeah. And speaking of Rachel backed up her mark in Ramona, throwing 76.65 to get 3rd place in this comp. Like Rachel is such an awesome person. We got a chance to interview her on the live stream when we in Ramona. She went big there, backs it up. Like this is 2.5 meters over her old personal best from last year. Mm-hmm. So, she's the defending indoor weight throw champion. Like Rachel's just popping off. Like 2025 is the year of Rachel Richardson.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, it was very similar to what you were saying earlier. It's like I was able to talk to Rachel. I recorded her 78-meter toss. I have that bias. I really want Rachel to be top dog. But, it's really just going to come down to whoever shows up. And I feel like Rachel's definitely within that conversation of the top dog.
Yeah, I think the thing is, though, dude, it makes nationals that much more competitive because they only have 3 spots. With Cameron being the defending world champion, they don't have 4 spots. So it's going to be a freaking dogfight, dude, at nationals to see who's going to get those spots. And we get into the men's hammer as we have a new world leader from France. Thank you, Sam. As we have Jan Chasanand. I'm going to say. So we have Jan Chasanand, 81.91, new world leader in the hammer throw. I believe this is a new French record. Mm-hmm. He did this at the Zagreb meet as well. This is a big throw. It's pretty far away, so we can't really see the technique that well. But what do you see on this throw that might be unique to like what's going to get out a throw over almost 82 meters?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's really dope with this is it's a 3-turn.
I was going to say, I'm like, this is a 3-turn.
That's a 3-turn.
Wow.
And I could be wrong, but I can't remember the last 3-turn that was that far. Now, I'm sure, there are hammer people who will be like, you're so stupid. Like this guy did that, a couple years ago. It's like, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know at the moment. I'm drawing a blank. But just, for him to go 81, with all the other guys, I believe there were 4 other guys who went over 80.
Yes.
In in the men's hammer in the last week, 2 weeks. So it's like, yo, this dude made a big statement like, yo, I'm world leader. I threw 81. Play catch up.
Exactly. And one thing I'll kind of notice to what you said about, if people want to correct us at all, I actually wanted to say this earlier, but I think it's actually important that if you guys do, we do have an error in our reporting, please feel free to reach out to either Samurai Throws University account on Instagram, and tell us that, because we actually had a fan reach out to us about a week ago, stating that I was actually incorrect in stating that Jason Swaren was the Big Ten record holder. In fact, Kevin Akins is actually the current Big Ten record holder. He threw back in the 80s. He was a glider who threw over 70 feet as well, threw for Ohio State. So, just if you are out there, we do appreciate all of your feedback that you can give us, all your comments. It means the world to us, and knows that you're engaged in listening to what we're saying and that you enjoy the show. So, Sam and I are not infallible, especially myself. So feel free, if you ever see that we have inaccuracies in our reporting, feel free to comment, let us know, and we'll correct it.
Just let us know.
And yeah, I mean, with one of those 80-meter throws you're talking about, now I couldn't find the 1 and 2 in this meet. So Ethan Katzberg threw in Hala as well, through almost 81 meters. But we do have our good friend of the show, Rudy Winkler, all around just good dude. He's the American record holder in the men's hammer. Goes over 80 meters again this season. Opened up a season at Drake, throwing 81 meters. Now going 80.01 at Hala. Dude, this is so exciting to see an American throw over 80 meters overseas in Europe. Mm-hmm. It's always been a criticism of American throwers for decades about that non-shot putters, when they come over to Europe, that they don't compete as well. But throwing over 80 meters at a meet like Hala, that's a huge statement. And what has me excited is the little bit we were talking with Rudy at Indoor Nationals. He's in really good spirits. He's in good shape. I selfishly, this is pure 100% bias on my part. I've known Rudy for years. I want this to be the year that Rudy does something at Worlds. I want a medal around this man's neck.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I double that. If there's anyone, there's a lot of great American hammer throwers on the men's side that, I feel like we've all had, or, you and I have had the conversations with, or, the privilege to have conversations with, but, dude, Rudy... I agree with you. I love all these guys, but dude, Rudy, they're all great dudes. But it's just to see Rudy, to have him have a medal, that'd be sick.
Yeah, he's just been doing it for so long. He's been a great ambassador for the sport. And to think about this, Rudy made his first international team for the Rio Olympics in 2016 when he was still in college. Mm-hmm. And he won that Olympic trials while in college. So it's we've always known Rudy's had the ability to be an elite hammer thrower and to compete with the best at a world championship. And he's had good meets, but sometimes it's just he might have a good 78-meter throw, but it's just not good enough on the day. Mm-hmm. And seeing Rudy this consistent at 80 meters again, to me, reminds me of the shape he was in when he broke the American record. Mm-hmm. Which has me more confident that now he has that experience of hitting those big marks, being overseas more consistently, competing at these world championships, these Olympic games. I think he's now at the point where he's mature enough in his career, he's ready to make a statement in Tokyo. Yeah. If he makes it. Obviously, we still need to get back to the national title, because the men's hammer throw along with the women's hammer throw is super deep right now. Mm-hmm. But selfishly, 100% bias on my part, I want to see Rudy do something in Tokyo. And we're going to get actually a little bit into high school as Jackson Cantwell makes his return to throwing. And it's really late in the high school season. He has been throwing at a few meets this year, but this is currently the U.S. number 1, 74 feet, 9.25. I don't recall if this is a PR for him or not. I know he went 74 last year as a sophomore. Mm-hmm. He's noticeably bigger, and I think way more built than he was last year. He's really growing into his body. Yeah. But I think, with how late it is in the high school season, I'm not sure how many more meets he's going to do. I'm not sure how much more how much farther he's going to throw, as we spoke on last show. He's a football player, man. And this might be the last that we see of Jackson in the throwing circle. Potentially not. Maybe he will throw at Miami. But I think we should just appreciate what we had, knowing that we got to see this specimen of a guy, and also just, the work that his father did for the sport, being an Olympic silver medalist. I think we should just appreciate him while he's here.
Absolutely. 74, that's far.
Yeah, and that's a new that's a new class record. It's a new class.
So far.
He broke Nick Vina's class record.
Yeah, that is so far. But I think I said this in the last one. Go get your bag. I appreciate what you do. I feel like we all appreciate what you do. Go get your bag.
Yeah. If you want to do more high school summer meets, I'd love to see you. We'd love to report on more of your throwing. Yeah, come Jackson Cantwell. We have meets going on this whole summer. If you want to come out and get a big throw, can our sector hold a throw of his?
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work, Jackson. So come out to Garage Strength. Hey, come out to Power Fest if you're able. You might be on campus by that point. But we'd love to have you. We'd love to set you up, because that would be fun to see you throw. Thank you for all you've done as a high school thrower. It's been really fun watching and reporting on what you've done. You're really freaking good and really talented, and we wish you the best of luck at Miami. Oh my gosh, but now we're going into college, and we're getting into the D2, D3 NCAA championships, but also conference weekend for D1, and we're kicking it off with D2 national meet record, Erica Bicil. She has had an incredible season, and whether D2 or D1, she's having one of the most historic discus seasons in the history of college sports. Yeah. 65.05 to win another D2 national title. I remember interviewing her post trials where she PR'd going 62 meters. I believe she got 4th place at the trials that year. And it was like surprising. It's like, a D2 athlete was challenging like the D1 champion and potentially going to make this team. And not only did she like rise above that 62, it's like once the outdoor season starts, she like nothing slowed. Yeah. She just got better and better. She threw 66 meters earlier this outdoor season, backing it up with a 65-meter toss at nationals. Incredible throw, incredible technique. I'm excited to see what Erica does as she graduates, because she has a big career ahead of her. Absolutely.
Anyone who follows Erica, like Erica has been dominant in D2 and dominant when
she won this meet by almost 10 meters.
Yes. She's dominant in D2, and she's dominant when she goes and competes with other D1 athletes and professional athletes. Like, she is extremely good. And it's just like, dude, like, she's lighting everybody up, bro, especially in the D2 realm. Like you said, she won this meet by 10 meters. Like, that is crazy work. But that just shows you, all the work that she puts in, to get to this point. And like, I know for a fact, like, she has really good movement. I was able to watch her at Ramona. She's gonna keep the ball rolling, and she's gonna challenge, some of the top dogs, post nationals.
I would also say, like, shout out to her in particular. She makes really good content, like on TikTok and Instagram. Like, she's really funny. Yeah. So please, like, and this is for every athlete that you see on the Throw Show, go follow them. But in particular, like, go follow Erica, because you're in for a good time. She posts a lot of really funny stuff about being a thrower, like in college and all that stuff. And it's like, she's got some really good skits that I really like. So shout out to Erica. I'm excited to see what you do come nationals, because, if you want to talk about shaking up the form chart, like, we've been talking about, women's discus. We're constantly talking about Val. We're talking about Jane Ulrich. We're talking about Veronica Fraley. Now we're talking about our teammate Gabby Jacobs. But we also got to talk about Erica Bicil, because she could do something. And correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think she has the auto cue right now. But her ranking has to be pretty high with the consistency that she has. Now, she has only been competing at college meets, so they're probably mostly F level. I don't know what they count the D2 NCAA meet as. I know D1 is count as like a bronze or a silver. I don't know what they count D2 at. So it's going to be interesting to see where Erica's going to be at, because I don't think she has the auto cue. And if she doesn't have the auto cue, then will her points get her there if she were to place? Because Loggy, of course. So there's 5. Yeah. So I'm sorry for forgetting Loggy, but like, yeah, dude, women's discus, honestly, just women's throws in general is just blowing up. Women's shot put, women's discus, women's hammer. Like it's so awesome to see, just to see the depth in America alone, knowing that we have so many world-class athletes that could be challenging for world finals. And unfortunately, we got to leave some of them home, but like exciting to see where this could be for the future of the sport.
Yeah.
And speaking about the future of the sport, I have known about this athlete for a while now, Emily Jo Fink. And who would have thought that we would see an NCAA leader in a track and field event out of Army, West Point. So Emily Jo Fink throws 71 meters 12. First ever 70-meter throw, current NCAA leader. I have known Emily for a few years now, in the sense that one of my close people in the throws world, Ryan Hirschberger, was the actual throws coach at Army for the previous 3 years. He has since transitioned to coaching at Purdue. But at the Olympic trials as a sophomore, she hit a personal best of almost 67 meters and made the final of that Olympic trials. And she has not stopped since. And she's had really good throws this whole season, going to her conference meet and then going 71 meters. I looked it up before we started this show, Sam. Army has never had an NCAA champion in track and field. Could she be the first one to do it?
Dude, throwing 71. Like, even if she doesn't throw 71, but if she stays in this shape, 100%.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I know the new current Army coach, Coach Woodbury.
Yep.
He was at Maine, and one thing that he did at Maine is he got his hammer throwers to be very, very proficient. You know, Maine isn't like a powerhouse when it comes to, throwing events, but he had his athletes do really, really well. So, like, when you take over, a pretty strong program with, very talented athletes, you're only just going to elevate just, not just one athlete, but like the team and just, the whole atmosphere of, what Army represents. And I feel like he's been doing a good job with that. Obviously, Emily going 71 meters is a testament of that. And it's just like, I think that they're going to continue to do great things.
So here's the thing. When you're an Army athlete, once you graduate, you are supposed to go, I don't know the exact terminology, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I won't say go into the reserves, but you are supposed to enter active military duty like immediately following graduation for, I think, 2 to 3 years. I think they do have the Army athletics program. If you're in her position, because let's say you go to Army, let's just say you're Sam Weeks, you get accepted to Army, which is, a privilege, because, you get to go to school for free and you have to get like signed by your congressman to even be eligible to go. You go to Army, you're a decent thrower. You thought, I'm going to throw and see and just, have fun, while I'm in college, preparing to, be a soldier. And then as you get better, you pick up this new event called Hammer. And then, I feel pretty good about this. And you start hitting decent marks as a freshman, throwing mid-50s. Now you're like beating people. Now you're competitive. I was like, this is fun. I'm actually pretty good at this. Then you go into your sophomore year. You get even better. You're beating more people. Then you go to the Olympics. You're like, I qualify for the Olympic trials. Go to the Olympic trials. No one really knows who you are. But then you make the final. And then you go into your junior year. And now you're like, you're way more confident. You've done some cool things. Let's see how far you can go. Now you're the NCAA leader and you have another year of college. Do you keep throwing, or do you stick to your original plan with your goal of when you go to Army?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I just feel like it really comes down to, your priorities with, your options.
Right.
Obviously, she came to Army to, potentially serve and, be within that realm. But it's like, as you continue to develop as an athlete and, realize your potential that you can be really, really good, you also have that option to continue. So I feel like it could go either or. If I was in her shoes, I don't really know. I think I'd probably explore both.
It's just such a specific scenario, right?
It's very specific, but like whatever decision she chooses, we're all going to respect it. Like,
Absolutely.
She's doing great things. as an athlete, but potentially, to serve our country. And it's, an honor to, be a witness of what she's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what's crazy for me to think is if she were to stick this out, like we were talking about the women's hammer at Tucson, dude, I could totally see her throwing 75 next year. Like totally hitting a mark that not only would get you a world final, but based off of last year's Olympics, potentially like medal contending marks out of Emily. So Emily, congrats. This is an awesome throw. I'm excited to see what you do next. And I'm rooting for you because it would be awesome to see a service school get an NCAA champion. You hardly ever see that. Mm-hmm. Maybe out of a school like Air Force, maybe Navy. Mm-hmm. But dude, all the PT that Army athletes have to do on top of their actual training is insane. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to see what you do, and go Army. So now we're going into the Big Ten. Jason Swaren has been having a season of a lifetime. He just went 70 feet at his home meet in Wisconsin, and he defends his indoor Big Ten title with an outdoor Big Ten title, throwing over 20-40, 67 feet. Did it at Oregon. I'm still getting used to what schools are in the Big Ten now because I was like, wait, why is he at Oregon? I'm like, oh, right, that's the Big Ten. But dude, we've been glowing up Jason this whole season. He has really good technique. He's a very powerful dude. Mm-hmm. And going over 70 feet in college, that's very rarefied air. And what's funny is about this, like he's throwing, 20-50, and in my mind, he pulled away from that ball, on that throw. So what do you think? What do you think Jason has looking forward to come NCAAs, and then even maybe as we get to USAs?
Yeah, dude, winning it. I mean, obviously there are some top dogs, you can't not think of Torek. He's
so consistent.
Yeah, we can't not think, but dude, it's anyone's game. Once again, it's whoever shows up. And we've been talking about this dude almost every throw show. He is, in really good shape, and he makes his technique work for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? We've discussed it before. I know I discussed it before. I think there are things that could do better, but at the end of the day, he shows up when it matters most, and he just keeps proving it.
No matter what happens, the sport is always who can throw the farthest.
Yeah.
And this one's a little soft for Sam and I's heart, as a new Division III record was set by Alexis Boyin out of MIT. She is a multi-time national champion, throwing 1680 to break the NCAA D3 record. This was at Spire. Sam has competed at Spire at the D3 level at these national championships. You're a little more informed on her career than I am. Mm-hmm. What did you think of this throw when you saw it? And what do you think this means for her legacy in D3?
She's the GOAT. Alexis is my GOAT, but she's the GOAT, dude. She has the D3 national record, or the collegiate record, excuse me. And, I think the cool thing is she did it in the same circle where she got her first All-American, a few years back. But Alexis is one of those just insane talents, mm-hmm. Who showed up D3. No one really thinks D3, D3 gets overshadowed, but she's someone who's just stuck with it, and she's won, several titles. She's earned several All-Americans, and, for her to go, in a bang like this, there's nothing that you could ask more mm-hmm. of, and she competed in disc and hammer. This wasn't her only event.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she sort of reminds me of Joseph White in the sense she was doing all three, scoring crazy amount of points at these national championships.
Yeah.
And also, if you're going to MIT, your course load has to be insane,
dude. Yeah. To put it all together, to be an engineer, and then, to be in athletics, and then be in athletics at a very high level, you got to be out of this world, and that's why she's my GOAT.
I actually see now that you made the comment.
Yeah, dude, that's my GOAT right there.
The actual GOAT.
Yeah, that's my GOAT.
That's awesome. So we're actually going to stay within college and actually cover some javelin for the day, as Dval Dael wins the ACC championship at Miami, where Jackson Canwell will be next year. 82-35. That is a big throw, not only for a collegiate javelin thrower, that's a big throw for an American javelin thrower.
Yeah, that is dummy. Sorry to interrupt you, but that is dumb. Like, I had to say that.
You are way more versed in javelin throwing than I am, so you can tell me everything that you can say about this throw and what this means for this guy's career.
I just said it, bro. It's dummy. Like, he smacked. Excuse my language, but like, he hit it.
Yeah.
He hit it, and like, dude, 82 is extremely far. We talk about, like, in America, like, we have a few guys who have thrown over 80. Now we get to add this dude in that jumbo, and it's just like, bro, that's so far. Like, oh, dude, it's so far.
Last thing I want to comment on is like him getting on the podium, just like he. If you guys know wrestling, he reminds me of Orange Cassidy, just kind of like slouching over, sunglasses, not really caring. Dude, just straight aura farming.
Just straight swag, bro. Just like, I'm that dude.
I am that dude. He's
bro,
like,
if I threw 82, yeah, I'm that dude 100%.
You like,
there's nothing you could tell me.
Let me just clear this dust off my shoulder real quick as I get on this first place podium. And speaking of first place podiums, this guy is no stranger to them, as Mikolas Alekna breaks the ACC record, 69-86. I didn't realize Cal was in the ACC. Dude, I'm sorry. We're into the outdoor season now, and I still don't know what schools wear. Because I'm a Pac-12. I'm like, wait a second. That's not... Oh, yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
NCAA, you need to figure that stuff out, because this is getting really confusing. But 69-86, backing up what he did in Ramona, just Mikolas showing, like, look, I am that guy. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, though, there's always been an upset at NCAAs with Mikolas. We always assume he's the favorite, because he always is in terms of distance and consistency. But when the meet comes, there's always some guy that snipes him. And the thing is, we have to keep in mind, Ralford Mullings won 69 meters at Texas earlier this year. Yeah. And we have to be cognizant of, like, one, Mikolas can't just walk through the competition. He's gonna come to play. But two, I think this is a question for you. Will we see two throwers go 68 plus at the national championship? Yes. You think so? Yes.
They're gonna duke it out. I feel like with Mikolas, like, that's like one of the titles that everyone always brings up, like, yo, you don't have this, and like, I'm sure, like,
it's got to be annoying.
It's annoying. Him. Yeah, I was about to say, I'm sure, like, he isn't stressed about it, but I know for a fact that has to be annoying. So I feel like he's gonna go into this and be like, all right, I'm just gonna get the job done so you guys can get off my back. But you also have guys like Mullings who threw far, pretty consistently, earlier in the year. And it's like, dude, like, it's not going to be a cakewalk. But I feel like, especially with the Olympics and what happened during that competition, I don't think Alekna is going to go in there lightly. And I feel like we kind of saw that at Ramona. Right. Like, everyone was like, oh, Denny's going to break the world record. And Alekna was like, yo, guys, watch this. First attempt, world record. Fifth attempt or fourth attempt, whatever it was. Another world record.
And I don't know if I can't remember if we spoke about this in our Ramona episode, but, like, he wasn't originally going to compete at Ramona. It was when he found out Denny was competing at Ramona that he was like, I don't want to, apparently Alekna knew that Denny was in shape to break his world record, and he was, because Denny did break his previous world record. And Mikolas is like, I'm not going to let that happen. I am going to do whatever I can to keep this world record. So I think we're now seeing, like, this is Alekna's revenge era. He's like, I am going to prove to everyone that I am as good as I think I am, and I am going to win as often as possible and prove to the world that I can be the dominant thrower that I know I can be. Yeah. I honestly I want to see Mikolas round one at nationals.
He probably will
go like 72 and just like walk out of the circle and be like,
that'd be crazy.
Is this what you want? Are you not entertained?
Are you not entertained?
But dude, the hits keep hitting in the NCAAs as, you know, at the Big 12 not Big 12. I'm sorry. SEC, because Texas is now in the SEC. I'm sorry. I get very annoyed by this because everything I thought knew and to be true about NCAA conferences are no longer true. And I have to keep reminding myself that Texas is now in the SEC. But, oh my goodness. But Nina Nibbusi goes 1891 at Texas. She has a huge throws prior at Texas. I remember throwing 18 meters indoors as a freshman. So see her breakthrough again, win SECs. 1891 is a huge mark. We have a few women right now in the 19 meters, and even with Jada Ross graduating indoors, like it's still exciting to see. Like we know Maya Lesnar has the current lead, but you know, we've seen, you know, historically, like just because you have a big mark early on in the season, come national championship time, this is a mark that could potentially win. So she's putting herself like in the conversation of future NCAA champion.
Yeah, and it adds more to the pot of, you know, that number one spot come NCAA. It's like, yo, you know, there are a few chicks who can easily win it, and you know. This is one of the athletes who is making that claim. And
this is like a 2-foot personal best. Her previous was 1835. So from 1835 to 1891, that's a pretty big jump. And this is one that I want to talk about real quick. Texas Tanner, it's funny, we were talking about the service schools. So Texas Tanner is at Air Force. Had a chance to talk to him and his coach, Kyle Lilly, who actually is a professional Highland Games thrower. He'll actually compete at the Celtic Classic around here in Pennsylvania come fall. Texas Tanner is proving to be one of the best triple event throwers in the history of the NCAA and possibly getting close to the history of the United States, because this man goes to the Mountain West Conference, hits a new personal best in discus, 63.59. This is a huge... These are marks in the disc. I think that's one thing is the men's discus depth-wise in the NCAA has gotten so insane in the last like 6 years. I remember it was like if you were throwing 61 meters, you were like top 3 in the NCAA like at the time when I was in college. And now it's like there are so many guys going 63, but for him to do 63 and then back that up to win another conference title in the hammer throw. Now this is a separate meet entirely, but he went 75 meters in hammer. These are insane marks. Like you can talk more about the hammer, but I do want to just quick go back to his discus. Like this guy, he just rips it, dude.
Yeah, bro. This is kind of off topic, but very on topic. Yeah. I got to meet Texas in Ramona.
Yeah.
This dude is the sturdiest dude I've ever met.
He's dude. Like a brick.
Bro, brick house, bro. Just jacked. But Tanner was in the flight that I was in, and he went 63 in Ramona, and I was like, oh, like, you know, I'm happy for him. Like, I'm pretty sure that was a big PR for him. I think before that, I don't know if he hit 60 before, but, you know, for him to go, I think it was 62 or 63, like, it was pretty big.
Yeah.
And then he doubled down. He went 62, or 63, it was one of the two, outside of Ramona. So it was like, oh, like, he's legit. And then, you know, at his conference, he won it again with a 63. So it's like, yo, like, I'm here to stay as, you know, a top dog. And then he won 75 in hammer. Like,
well, dude. That's the other thing is like, so the depth of hammer right now is pretty high, especially the two Greeks at Minnesota who we've been talking about all season. Like 75 meters, you didn't see that 10 years ago. No. If there was a guy that went 75 meters, like, oh, this is huge for the sport. I don't even know where this place is. I'd have to check T-Fers, but it's like, he's like, this is a mark we would normally say, oh, this could win NCAAs, and it potentially very well could come meet day. But like to see that level of quality of throw from one guy, and he's also almost a 20-meter shot putter.
Yeah,
like the dude's is insane, and I think what would be cool to see, and this would be unlikely because he still has a few meters to go from where the Greeks are. But if two service members were to win NCAA titles, both as hammer throwers, that would be just so cool for the service academy, you know, lineage of athletes, especially in this day and age where it's like 70 years ago when they were dominant, like it was a different time period for athletes. But now to do it in like 2025, and the fact that they're competing with some of the best in the world, despite all the extra responsibilities they have, that's nuts. Good on you, Texas. Shout out to Bo Throws for putting this together. Because Bo Throws, if you guys don't follow him, he is like the #1 throwing Instagram account you need to follow. Great dude. Shares all of this content free to the public so people can better follow the sport of throwing. Make sure you go follow Bo Throws today. But this cool video that I saw, this is Vincent Ugi of Nigeria. He has this really cool progress where he started throwing discus only a few years ago. And this is him in Nigeria throwing in dirt on sneakers. And then goes to the United States, competes at South Florida, goes 63.72. Like, this is the dream in my mind. It's like you literally start from the bottom, and now you're putting yourself in conversation because, like, especially with the country they competes for, he is going to have a lot of opportunities to compete internationally once he graduates with a mark like this.
Yeah.
But what do you kind of see as like? Do you kind of relate to this at all? From humble beginnings to mark like this.
I feel like we all do. Like obviously he's doing this from a different country and getting that opportunity to go crazy in the NCAA. But it's like one of those things where it's like if you just keep going with it, eventually you'll make it. Right. And if you go on Vincent's Instagram page, I believe he has a little bit more of the timeline, the story,
right,
to that 63-meter toss where it's like, he started off in the dirt and like he started to figure out technique and like he's throwing in the rain. Like there's a lot of different elements that tell his story to this point, and it's like one of those. It's a really cool story. It's like one of those things where it's like, if you have a vision and you just keep at it, like eventually it will, come to fruition.
It reminds me of Isaac Okubson, who was a shot putter at Alabama. He's actually now a very popular professional wrestler in the WWE. He's the NXT champion, Obafemi. I remember watching videos of him before he went to Alabama where he became a 20-meter shot putter, and he was like deadlifting 600 pounds for reps on a dirt floor, and every single plate was a different size. Yeah. And I just think of myself, it's like, dude, there's a very popular YouTuber named Zach Tellender in the Olympic weightlifting space. He has a tagline at the end of all his videos that says, "No excuses, just improve." I think that's like the way you need to approach it. It's like, if you have a dream and you want to chase it, you have to do whatever you can. Situations might not be ideal, but you could be setting yourself up to put yourself in a phenomenal place that you could achieve those great distances. Or, I'll even think back to one other African athlete who was a thrower, Julius Yego. Like, he didn't have a coach. He grew up throwing sticks, and then eventually he finally got javelin. And then he started watching YouTube videos. And this is like in 2009, 2010, watched Andreas Thorkildsen and learned how to throw javelin. And then fast forward 6 years later, man won a world title throwing over 92 meters in China. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's not about where you start. It's about where you finish. Speaking of not done yet, the thrower who is constantly, he's like Schrodinger's cat in terms of will he throw, will he not throw, is he done, is he not done? Andrew Evans, he won the Olympic trials last year, opens up his season at the USATF Throws Festival going 66.82. Big throw for Andrew. I love Andrew's technique, but it's just so funny because when you hear him talk about his goals and like throwing, he does it because he loves it, but that also makes it like very unclear on what his next move is. Yeah. So to see him just kind of come out, rock out, he didn't go to Ramona this year and go 66.82. This is a big throw, and I think he has a good amount of points from last year. So he's setting himself up well for nationals. What do you see on this throw?
Yeah. Like you said, Andrew's one of those guys where it's just like he just shows up. But the crazy thing is, like, he just shows up and he'll give you a 66.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to drop it. It's just going to happen.
I love his technique, though.
Yeah, no, he's very proficient. I feel like that's one thing about Andrew is, like, even if he, is the avatar and just disappears when we need him most, like, when he comes back, he's, going to still throw just as far with really good technique. Like,
right.
I can't even explain it. This dude just literally is just like Ambu Black Ops. You never see him. He's just in the organization, but he's just getting better.
I think a part of me really admires him because he just reminds me of like just the journeyman thrower. Just the guy who like shows up with a meet with his one discus, just kind of puts his shoes on, gets in the circle and just throws. Yeah. To me, it's like, forget all the professional side of the sport. I just want to pick up the discus and throw. I'm just going to throw. I kind of love the vibe. And speaking of another top American thrower, dude, I was so happy to see this because, you know, Joe Brown, he is the king of consistently being inconsistent, but also consistently good when it matters. Yeah. Because this is a guy who will go to meets and throw 55 meters, but then also 2 weeks later go to a meet in Germany and throw 66 and prove that he's one of the best in the world. Yeah. I love Joe. Great guy. Phenomenal person to talk to. I think this is a huge throw for him in his career because I believe this is the first time he's had like a really big throw overseas. I know he did a tour last year, but I believe this is the farthest throw he has had overseas. And to do it this early in the season, backing up what he did in Ramona, he threw further here than he did in Ramona. 66 meters. What do you see on this throw?
I thought he threw 66 in Ramona.
So I think he threw 66 in the first meet. Now that I think about it, he did not do it in the second meet. So my mistake. He didn't do it in the World Invite portion.
But no, I'm glad to see Joe get opportunities. You know, I'm a big Joe fan. He won me over at the Olympic trials. Like, obviously, I got to saw him throw at Ramona, but like, dude, after the Olympic trials, I was like, nah, bro, Joe's here to stay. Like, that's my guy. I'm rooting for Joe. Like, full glaze. Like, Joe is my guy. I don't care. Like, I am a Joe fan, and I'm glad to see that he's getting more opportunities, especially overseas, and he's able to go over there and, you know, show like, yo, I am, you know, a top contender.
And this is where we can always kind of think back to, like, when you're a career thrower, we have to understand, like, it's not always the distance. Sometimes it's the distance plus where you do it. Mm-hmm. And for something like this, where this might be, you know, one of the few opportunities he gets to compete internationally at some of these money meets, him getting a mark like this at a meet like this now automatically tells meet directors, oh, this guy can actually compete with our guys. Let's bring him to more meets. And this can completely change his career financially because now he will have the opportunity to compete against these top level throwers at future big invites. And like you always say, get that bag.
Get that bag. Shout out Joe.
Oh my gosh. And we're almost done, folks, but man, we have to talk about the top throws from Garage Strength athletes because Garage Strength had some big ones the last 2 weeks. She just had a massive personal best in Kansas, backs it up with another throw over her old personal best from last year as Gabby Jacobs goes to Tucson Elite, gets second place to Valerie Allman, goes 63.78. And I'm seeing this and I'm like, oh my gosh. If she just cleaned up like a few things, this is like 65, 66 all day. Yeah. No question in my mind. Yeah. I think this is the year that Gabby's like finally like showing like she's going to be one of the best in the world.
Oh, 100%. I mean, she's already shown it. She won
68. She won 68. Yeah.
But I agree. You know, Gabby's one of those athletes. Like if you just watch, you know, what she does at the front, dude, she just rips it.
She's so explosive.
She's so explosive. And it's like one of those things that I know her and Dane are really working on, you know, just putting or making the total package of her throw. Right. Like she competes really well when it matters most. And, you know, she's proven it. You know, she proved it here. She proved it at 60, when she went 68. She proved it on day one at Ramona. Day two was kind of like whatever. But she proved it day one. And, like, you know, she's showing, you know, the U.S. discus, like, yo, I'm one of those top dogs as well.
It's getting to the point where it's so close to call, like I said with Erica Bicil, of like who will actually make this team. Now, the nice thing for the women's discus is there are 4 spots available. Loggy has the auto queue, so we don't have to worry about Loggy. But then it's, you know, Val is also probably going to make it. So we have 2 more spots. And it's going to be a battle between her, Veronica, Jaden, and Erica. Yeah. Like, it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be exciting to watch. Yeah. And this next throw, admittedly, is a very sentimental favorite of mine because I've had very long, late conversations in the gym with this person, talking about his throwing, talking about life, talking about his career, talking about his family. And that's Legend Hayes going 63 meters. He did another trip to Ramona, 63.07. So this is the second farthest throw of Legend's career. And this is the first time he's gone 63 in 4 years. He set his personal best at Ironwood back in 2021 prior to the Olympic trials. And at the Olympic trials, people forget this. He won the qualifying round. He was the furthest thrower in the qualifying at the trials that year. And he had a foul that he just stepped out of the foot of the ring on his reverse that would have by far won that competition. He would have won the Olympic trials in 21 if he just didn't hit that foul. So to see him come back after years of, he had a child, made a lot of adjustments in his life, made a lot of technical changes. So he's been in the mindset where I felt like he was finally ready to do what he knows he's capable to do as an athlete. And to see him do this, like I remember I actually was going for a walk. I was feeling a bit down over the weekend, and then I came back to my apartment, looked at my phone, saw that this came up, and it just filled me with so much joy. I messaged Legend immediately after. Such a good dude. You're his training partner. I don't know how much he communicated to you what this throw meant to him, but I know to him, and a little bit we talked yesterday, like this was really, really big for him, not only, as an athlete, but just like as a father, as a man.
Yeah, dude, this is my dog, bro. Yeah. Like, we came from D3, now we're in the professional realm, and like, I was, I text Legend that morning. I was like, yo, like, let's bring it today. Like, right. You have this second opportunity. Like, let's do something. And when I got that text, like, yo, he went 63. Like, I was ecstatic. I was at the state championship, and I was like, everyone, like, stop for a minute. Like, my dog Legend went 63. So, like, I'm a big advocate for, Ledge. I am within his top 10 of, like, fans because, I have to give his family is definitely, like, his top fans. His parents are his top fans, his coach. But I'm definitely within, that top 10. But, for him to go 63 and to, essentially punch his ticket for nationals, like, that is a huge opportunity. And now it's, like, just continuing to build, so we can, have another moment where he's at nationals and he can show the world like, yo, like I can be one of those guys too.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with like Legend. We've always known with the years that we've been training together, Legend has had the physical tools to be an elite discus thrower for a long time. It's just, between different life situations, but also like changing techniques, injuries he's had to deal with the last few years. That's the things that people don't hear about too often, especially at this level of the game, where it's like this sport is really hard on the body. This sport's really hard on the mind, and to see him stick with it and continue to keep pressing and show that like, okay, Legend's now back to where he was in 21. And the nice thing is, I think his technique is a lot stronger. I think his understanding of the event is a lot stronger than it was a few years ago. And I think what that's going to do is give him an edge come nationals to really show the world what he's got.
Absolutely.
And we also have our girl. We had a local meet at Garage Strength the other weekend. We actually posted this whole competition on our YouTube channel. So if you want to, see this throw, with some even more slow-mo angles and stuff like that. Jaime went 68 meters at our local meet. This is I was asking Dane, I was like, is this a top 10 throw for her? Because she hasn't thrown 68 meters that often. So 68.18 as another throw to build up, like, her really, like, she's having a pretty decent season right now. I'm excited to see what Jaime has, because this is a new season's best, and when she goes overseas again, like, I think she's got even more in the tank. She's, we'll see, but like, dude, I think it's just a good throw. Like, honestly,
no, dude, like, honestly, I feel like the conditions at this meet were like perfect for what all of them, because Legend competed, Mauricio competed, obviously Jaime competed, Jordan West competed here, which I think is actually hilarious, but like. I feel like the conditions were perfect for, all of them to do really well. And, Jaime obviously went 68-18. Like, it's good. Like, we train at this circle every day, and this circle is kind of like whatever. It's just at a local high school. But, sometimes you get good conditions, and that day was one of those days where they had great conditions, and she took full advantage.
You know what's funny is like when she let it go, and we're like, and obviously like this is a good technical throw for her, and we're like saw the implement, we're like flying like, oh, that went far.
Yeah, dude. What's the crazy thing? I've seen her throw 70 meters at Schuylkill Valley.
Really?
Yes, like no lie, I watched her throw 70 meters at this, place. So it's like it's very doable, and I think it's actually hilarious. Like she looks back at the camera, like, did I just do that? Like, yeah. You just did that. Like, but big.
She was surprised how far it went. I was like, oh dang.
Big shout out to Jaime.
Absolutely. And you mentioned him earlier. Now, we're not showing his disc throw, but Jordan has told us that he wants to keep throwing discus at our meets so he can set a new personal best. But he did set a personal best in the event that mattered, and that was him throwing 2080. It's I believe a 6 or 8 centimeter personal best for him from college. Mm-hmm. So he says personal best like 2 years ago when he was at Arkansas. Now he's a post-collegiate, training with Garage Strength, went to our local meet, 2080. The crazy thing about Jordan is like this whole comp was just like he was a different level. Mm-hmm. Every throw was like almost a meter further than like his next best meet this whole year. Yeah. Because his previous bests were like 1950. And it was just like this. And the other thing about that, this was round one. Yeah. Round one just goes new personal best 2080. And just goes like 1.3 meters further than his next best meet the rest of the year. And we always knew Jordan is like a freak athlete. Like we know that he could throw really far. Yeah. I think he's just been in that adjustment period of like new coach, new training situation, maybe fixing some things in his technique. Mm-hmm. But like, I'll say this too to the audience. You ever got a chance to meet Jordan? One of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Very, very awesome dude. We're really happy to have him part of the team. But like, dude, like, I love this technique. Like, I think he looks so smooth in the circle, and it has me thinking, like, we have Timon, we have Nick Curtis, Eric's been chasing the mark. We're going to have, like, 4 dudes throwing over 21 meters representing Garage Strength.
Absolutely. I think the funny thing about this toss is at the end, he's like, it was okay.
It's like,
it's a PR, bro. Like, obviously he didn't know that in the moment, but, like, you could tell that there's more in the tank. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, him and Dan have really been locking in and just figuring out his technique and how to put him in a position to be successful. And obviously, like, he's showing up when it matters most, and he's getting good quality tosses, even though if it's like whatever, but like he's in good shape, and I know that he's going to continue, and I feel like he is going to be one of our guys who punches 21 this year. Like you said, we have Timon, you have Nick Curtis, you have Eric, like they're all competing against each other and they're all pushing each other. And obviously, Nick and Timon went 21 last year, so it's like, they're going to, as they continue to be in good shape and as they continue to build and compete, they're just going to put themselves in positions to throw 21.
100%. And if we're talking about athletes that are building and, achieved lifetime goals, just like Jordan here, we saw your athlete, Sofia Rivera, not only win 1 state championship this past weekend, but 2 state champions. So she won the shot put title throwing over 43 feet, and she won the discus title, as you're seeing right here, throwing 143 feet. She is the champ, if you would. Yep. So Sam, you've been working with her for the last year and a half or so. You've seen her progress. You've helped her develop. You've worked with her in the weight room. Take me through her progress. Take me through her journey that led to a 2-time state champion, same meet, discus and shot put.
Yeah, so I can't take full credit. Dane also coaches Sophia as well, so we both coach Sophia. But one of the big things with Sophia is just like putting her in our training system. Right. We have a training system. It's more so Dane's training system. Obviously, I had to adapt to it, but it's just using, scientific evidence of strength and conditioning to make sure that these athletes are in a position where they can be successful at any given point. Right. So the big thing with Sophia was just getting her accustomed to, better technique. Like, this is her first year spinning. So better technique and just getting her stronger in the weight room. And, you know, we pushed all year. Indoor seasons, unfortunately, she fouled out. And, you know, she was heartbroken. And as a coach, it was really tough for me to see her just cry and just be emotional about what happened. And I remember before she left, I talked to her and I was like, yo, this isn't going to happen again. Like, I know it sucks and we just got to accept it for what it is and we got to move on. But I want you to know that I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And, you know, we really kind of put that, you know, into fruition, you know, come the outdoor season where it's like, yo, like, we got to make sure that you can, you know, be successful. Like, you got to, you know, hit 3 tosses to buy yourself 3 more so then you can go out and really just do your thing. And that's one of the things that Sophia just really kind of just trusted in. It's like, yo, we're going to put you in a position to be successful. Right. And now she is a 2-time champ. You know, she... Champ. Discus, she won it on her first attempt. This was her first attempt. And shot put, she won it on her 3rd attempt. I'm not going to lie, she had 2 fouls. It was a little kind of...
But that shows the mental edge that she had at that point.
Yes, and it was one of those things where, like, I was able to talk to her, and I was like, yo, Sophia, like, just trust in what you're doing. Like, we've been here before. We can get out of it. And it was, like, one of those things where it's, like, I can't show her that I'm nervous. So, like, you know, so she doesn't pick up on that. And it's like, oh, I got to do it. It's like, no. Like, yo, we got this. Like, you can do your thing and just let it rock. And I feel that just comes back to just our training systems. And it's like one of those things where we put into part where it's like, we're going to make sure that you are successful. And, you know, all our viewers at home, if you want, you know, that style of training, you know, head over to throwsuniversity.com and you can pick up, we have 2 programs. We have custom programming and we have technique coaching where you'll work with us directly and we'll give you our training system, you know, based off of your needs and goals and put you in a position to be successful. You know, we've had several, sorry to cut you off, but we've had several athletes make it to this point. Like, I've had 2 athletes that I worked with personally whose PR was less than 48 feet during the indoor seasons. Yeah. Both of them threw over 55. Both of them got school record. Both of them competed here. Unfortunately, only one of them placed, but it's like that was a huge accomplishment for the both of them, and it just, you know, is a testament to the training systems that we put forth.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, the progress is there, the results are there, and it's like, and if, as you could tell, you know, what was Sam talking about Sophia's performances, like, we care. Yeah. We want to see you guys get better, you know, and that's why we offer these programs. Is like, it's an availability that you have the ability to train. Let's say you can't come to Garage Strength, you don't live on the East Coast, you don't live in Pennsylvania. That's fine. We still can work with you. You can be all over the world and you'll still get the same amount of attention that you need in order to become a better thrower. So like Sam said, click the link down below, head over to throwsuniversity.com, check out our strength programs so you can drop some bombs like Sophia Rivera. Peace.